I'm a normal 10th grade student studying in a CBSE school. I have made this video to show parents and other students what we actually do in school. There are some things which adversely affect the students. So please watch the full video and share it as much as you can because I really want this video to be out there. Enjoy the video. From the beginning of our childhood, we have been taught to and made to believe that education was all for getting good scores, which will lead to a good job, which will provide us financial security, and we will continue this with our children. But this does not seem so right for me. So let's break down what school should be actually for. School should be for education in the true sense. Education in which students learn new things and learn how to apply it in their real practical life. Education is the process of facilitating learning or acquisition of knowledge, skills, values, beliefs, and habits. Wikipedia, none of which contains the word scores or marks. The word education itself comes from the Latin word educe, meaning to bring out or to develop something. And that something is not scores or marks. It means to develop a student. But in most of the schools, real life skills, practical and experiential knowledge is given no importance. Let me give you an example. In India, the majority of the schools are CBSE board. The marking system in this board goes like this. 80 marks are for written papers, 15 marks are for previous exams and notebook completion, and the remaining little 5% or 5 marks are for so-called practical marks. Not only the share of practical marks in our education system is very less, but also the marks for the practicals is not given properly. Let me explain you how the marks are given. In the practicals, we are given a lab manual in which we have to copy and write the given information onto a set of blank pages, and they assume that we will learn from this. And this is what they basically call practical marks. And of course, at the end of the semester, we are taken to a lab where we conduct all the experiments. But marks are not given for how well you do experiments, but it's given for the completion of lab manuals. What if a student is an expert at performing experiments, but he does not like to read or write? The student's skills and knowledge will be totally ignored. This is what happens in a biased system, where only one aspect of something is considered. In the first few years of the 18th century, when the revolution of industries was going on, at that time, the industries needed clerks. They needed people to sit at a desk, be obedient, to do what they are told to do, without talking to anyone. And the main requirement for the jobs was no creativity. Sounds familiar, right? Does it? These features were implemented in schools, which explains why schools had dedicated periods to every subject, particular timings for lunch, and designated seats to sit on. Because God only knows what utter chaos would unravel if we were to sit where we pleased. The schools back then was designed to make industrial obedient workers. All of this was alright back in 18th century because these qualities would carry on in the factories. But things have certainly changed now. The world is a lot more than factories. The industrial sector is no more the major sector. Now almost anyone can become almost anything if they work hard enough. There has been a lot of changes and development in our country, but still the basic foundation of our schools remain unchanged. And it is still based on the same robotic and stale idea. Which brings us to the situation of engineers and doctors. In this ever so developing country, there are innumerable occupations, but a large number of students see themselves only as engineers or doctors in the future. India produces a lot of engineers. In fact, the engineers passing out from colleges in India is more than the number of engineers passing out from America and China combined. That's a lot of engineers we don't need. Despite of that many engineers, India is ranked 57th in the Global Innovation Index, while Switzerland, Sweden, the Netherlands, the USA, and United Kingdoms are the world's most innovative countries, none of which produce as many graduates as in India. Now, I'm not telling you to stop being an engineer. The amount of knowledge you gain while doing an engineering degree is unimaginable. But all of that knowledge becomes useless if you don't use it in your real life. Check this guy out. He has an amazing YouTube channel where he uses his skills to create amazing gadgets. This is what real engineering is. What's the point of an engineering degree if the only useful thing it does is to give you a job? And the job is only for money, not for enthusiasm or inspiration. If there is no motivation or inspiration in you, then what's the point of life then?
And there need to be reasons to get up in the morning. Life can't just be about solving problems. Otherwise, what's the point? There's got to be things that people find inspiring and make life worth living.
This guy is the single most successful person alive, Elon Musk. He has launched the most powerful rocket in the world with 3 reusable boosters, out of which 2 successfully landed on Earth. The rocket's name was Falcon Heavy. What a cool name. And yes, he also placed his own Tesla Roadster as a payload, as the launch was a test flight. He is the CEO of Tesla, SpaceX, and other very famous companies. And he has done all of this without an engineering degree. Me, being a normal student, when I talk about all of these problems with our school system, the true meaning of education shatters down into pieces. As if students are not coming to schools for learning but only to get marks. But we as students cannot change the system itself, or the system will not change anytime soon. So there is one and only solution to this, which is to go with it. Only if we work hard enough and only if we excel at studies, only then we can prove the education system wrong. The only thing you could do while being at school is to study. Study not for marks or scores, but for your own knowledge. Study the information as if you're going to apply it in your real life. And yes, never ask this question. Is this going to be in the exam? Oh, I almost forgot. I did a little experiment in my school. I asked my classmates if what they studied in school was actually useful in real life or not. Check the replies I got from them. It was really fun asking them. One thing common in all of these replies was that they did not accept the education system. Now, what is the benefit of schools if the students themselves do not like it in the first place?